Hello, friends. In the series of learning computer organization and design, today we will focus on central processing unit. And this entire session, our area of discussion will be general register organization within these central processing unit. So, before proceeding with the topic of general register organization, let's discuss the entire agenda of this particular chapter. So, in this entire chapter of Central Processing Unit, we will start with the introductory part of the Central Processing Unit, where we will discuss about the various components of the Central Processing Units and the functionalities that the Central Processor Unit is performing within the digital machine. And then we will focus upon the general register organization, which is existing within this central processing unit. And then later on in the upcoming lecture series, I will describe about the various other aspects like stack organization, instruction formats, addressing modes, which are very important, and then data transfer manipulation and the program control and the reduced instruction set computer. So let's start with the introductory part of this central processing unit. So the very first topic under the central processing unit is the major components. So it seems very obvious that as we have started learning about the functionality and the major components which are part of the central processing unit, first of all, let's discuss about what exactly is central processing unit and how does it functions. So if I simply say if I have to design the block diagram of central processing unit, right? So central processing unit, centrally it is processing and it is a unit which is processing centrally the entire execution of the computing machine, right? So broadly, the central processing unit is having two components existing within it, two hardwares you could say. One is the control unit, another is the ALU. Okay, so central processing unit is also known as the brain of the computer because it is the one which takes the signal, which passes the signal, and then processes the signal and performs a lot of functionality. So you could say that the CPU is the main component in any machine. If CPU will not be part of the machine, then your machine will not operate. The simple point is that it is the main component being called as the brain of the machine. So let's understand about other than these control unit and arithmetic unit, what other are the things which are associated with the central processing unit. So, for your information, the very first thing which is associated or which considered as a major component of central processing unit is the storage components. So, definitely, the central processing unit is also having the capability to store some information, to store some data as in case of the memory. Yes, the space would not be that large if I compare with the memory, but I could say that for its functionality, for faster functionality or the fast execution on processing of the data, and yes, it is having some storage components available in the form of registers as well as in the form of flags. So registers we usually know, which are basically the place to store the data, right? And flags are usually to determine the status of any particular register or any particular component. So the broadly the two storage components which we are using within the CPU are the registers and flags. And other than this, the CPU will is also being used for execution or the processing purposes. So definitely, if I want to perform any operation, so usually in the last chapter, I was calling that operation as a micro operation. So any micro operation which I would like to process within the machine is taken care by the CPU, and within the CPU, the component used is the arithmetic logic unit. So what arithmetic logic unit will do? It will be processing each and every different kind of micro operation that we are aware of. Like we have learned the arithmetic micro operations, logical micro operations, shift micro operations, register transfer micro operations, so and so forth, right? So all these operations taken care by the arithmetic logic unit. So the next part, third, comes under the major component of central processing unit is the transfer components. So definitely, if I am saying CPU is consisting of some set of registers, so in order to place the data from one place to another, to take it from one place to another, I would be looking for some transfer components. So buses are also existing within the CPU. And the fourth, as I have already described it, this control unit is there. It is controller of the entire execution of execution process, you could say. So control unit is again very important or essential part. So, students, one thing here that you need to focus upon is that these are the major components, means the which are playing a vital role within the CPU. So, other than this, there could also be existing some small minor components, okay, which are easing the throughput rate of the processor. So now, as our topic is basically based upon the general purpose resistors, so it is good time to discuss about the resistors here because resistors are playing a significant role in the digital machines. So without resistors you cannot imagine the data, without data you cannot imagine the processing and the storage capability of the machine. So each and everything is actually linked with this resistor component only. So if you remember, in case of the basic computer, when we were using a very simple configuration of 4096 cross 16, right? So we were using a one general purpose resistor, which I was also calling it as a processor resistor, right? So processor resistor because it was lying within the processor, within the CPU. That's why it is also called as the processor resistor. So my point here is that in the basic computer, there was only one such kind of resistor existing. I was naming it as the accumulator. And if you remember the functionality of this accumulator or being a general purpose resistor, the functionality was that it is having the ability to store and to load the data in one go, which was actually helping me a lot in order to perform the faster execution of the data. Okay, but that was the accumulator was related to the basic computer only, which was having a very nominal kind of or a simple kind of configuration. But what if I talk about the modern machines? Then, within the modern machines, for your information, there are many general purpose resistors again existing. Reason being, because nowadays the modern machines are basically being designed to enhance the execution rate, the throughput of the machine. So if the throughput has to be enhanced, then definitely I need to add on a number of processor resistors within the CPU. So this is what the modern machines are equipped with. Depending upon the type of processor we are using, the type of manufacturer we are working with, right? So each and every CPU will be having its own number of general purpose resistors available. Now the reason is why do we need so? One thing, as I was explaining you earlier, is that throughput, right? Throughput is the main factor because if your system is able to perform the instructions in a fast manner, then definitely you will recommend that. So again, I am going to simplify here the same points, that why is it advantageous to have many general purpose resistors existing within the machine. So you can simply analyze this particular idea by the mean that if, let's suppose, you are, I am teaching in a class, okay, right now. Let's suppose this is a class and a teacher is there. A number of students have joined the class. Now, if teacher wants any of the student to do some work, then it is convenient method that within the class only the teacher should speak out or address the student or order the student to perform a thing, rather than if the teacher is right now sitting in the staff room or the restroom, wherever it is, right? And now a teacher wants that this particular student to talk. So what will happen? Which is the most convenient method? When the data, the source is lying nearby you. My point is this. Don't focus on the example that I have taken. Just it is a random thing. Okay. So my point is that I know that if I will the data or the register, okay, which will is lying nearby the CPU, then it will be easy for me to execute it, to work on it, and to pass on the instructions. Rather than if the teacher is sitting in the staff room, then what will happen in this case? So teacher has to reach the first of all class, the specific class where that specific student is present, and then among all the n number of students available, he or she has to figure out that particular student. So it will actually consume the time. The job will be done, but it will take time. So this is what exactly is the benefit of working with the resistors within the CPU. So the transfer between the resistor within the processor are relatively fast. So basically, the execution rate actually of the data, the execution time is reduced. So that's why we are preferring it. And going off the processor to access the memory is very slower, right? Definitely, if the CPU is present here and CPU needs the data, so again, CPU has to reach the memory, and then within the memory the specific address, and then within the address that specific data is to be figured out based upon the kind of addressing mode we are using. So that's why, so if you have to go out from your place, right, so you have to actually waste some time for that. So this is why we are working with a number of general purpose resistors. So here I have actually added this question for you all. Then why and how many resistors will be the best choice for the modern machines? Is there anyone who can answer me this? How many resistors? So we will discuss about it. Otherwise, the answer is already lying here in this entire thing only, right? I have already discussed this also. But again, I'm expecting that you should also be think about it. It is very important concept that how many resistors would be present within the modern machines. Now let's understand about the general purpose resistors in more detail. How within the CPU these general purpose resistors are actually being organized. So this is a full-fledged diagram. Uh, just don't get confused by looking at it in the very first go. The idea is very simple, and once you will get the idea, then it will be very easy for you to understand and to design this diagram. Now, if you can look here thoroughly, there are R1 to R7 resistors available, all these. Okay, let me build a general background of what this diagram is all about. We are considering that in a machine there are 7 general purpose resistors available. Okay, and these 7 general purpose resistors which are present within the CPU are actually processing the data. Okay, so that's why for the processing element with the ALU within the CPU, so some data will be taken from either of these resistors. So in order to take on the data, we are using the multiplexers here. So idea could be like, let's suppose there is a R2 resistor and there is an R3 resistor. I want to add the data which is present in these two resistors, and then also I want to store the result in some another resistor. Let's suppose this is a kind of example I am taking. I have to work with. So there is a general purpose resistor R2, R3. I want to sum, to do the sum of these data, and then the entire sum should be stored or transferred into this R1 resistor. Now how this entire micro operation will take place? In order to work upon such functionalities, this diagram will play its role. So the idea is that here I am using this mux number 1, or it is for the mux, and this is the mux number 2. It's mux number B and this is mux number A because it is using selection lines here. So try to understand the meaning. Total there are 7 inputs. So 7 inputs are coming here to each and every pin which is associated within this particular multiplexer, let's suppose. And just because these are 7 in number, I cannot design a 7 cross 1 multiplexer. So that's why I am using this external input. This input I am just dedicating it or I am taking it externally. Reason being, first thing is that I have to make total 8 kind of pins. Okay, I need 8 bit of data if I have to process the multiplexer, right? In external could be any input being available here that can directly be added to this zeroth number pin, a 0 pin of this multiplexer. Now total size of this multiplexer is 8 cross 1 now. Same is with this also. Okay. Multiplexer number B is also having 8 cross 1 size. Now, how I could know that I have to take the data from R2? This is actually, this data is nothing but this is a multiplexer. This is, sorry, a common bus system. Remember, in the major components, I taught you that for transferring the data from one resistor to another resistor, I will make use of the bus. So bus system is designed using the multiplexers here. So my point is that I need 3 selection lines, S0, S1, S2 for this multiplexer of line A. Similarly, S0, S1 and S2 for multiplexer of line B, multiplexer B. Then this data from R2, let's suppose, been taken care by having from this function table. Similarly, from this R3 is taken care. Okay. Then after that, what I need to perform is to perform the micro operation. So in order to process the data, I will be using the arithmetic logic unit. Now again, how my system will determine that it has to perform the sum or to perform the addition, subtraction or any kind of micro operation. So I will be using this 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 means a 5-bit OPR code. OPR is nothing but the operation. Okay, I will be having a 5-bit code, so you can imagine that if you are having availability of 5, so 2 raised to power 5 combinations, such combination or such number of operations, micro operations are being taken care by this ALU at this moment, depending upon these OPR bits being 5. Okay, and then I got some data after processing R2 and R3, adding it, some value came. Now I know that I have to place this sum into this R1 resistor. So definitely now what will happen? Now is the time to find the destination resistor. So how I could find destination resistor? Again, I am using a 3 cross 8 decoder here, and these are the 3 selection lines of this particular decoder or the input lines. So depending upon the inputs being available here, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0 or anything, okay, accordingly that particular resistor will be selected and I will be able to place the data or to store the sum in that particular resistor. So this is how this entire process will take place. I hope that you have just understood the somehow general idea of how this particular diagram will work. But again, the idea here is that we need to focus upon this select line A of the multiplexer, selection line B of the multiplexer, this OPR bits in the of ALU, and this select D line within the this particular decoder, right? So let's again proceed it that how exactly your machine will be able to perform this. Because now I am explaining to you that R2 plus R3 wants to transfer the data to R1. But exactly how this exactly will be understood by the processor that okay, R2 want to proceed with the data or R3 want to transfer its data and to the R1 resistor. So how this entire analogy will work, let us understand that in more detail. So point here is that whenever the general register organization has to work, we are taking the entire thing is being controlled using this control word. Like in case of memory, to process the data, I need instruction and a format of that, right? I always say some address values are required, then opcode bits are required, then mode bit is required. Okay, same is the case when you have to process the CPU. If you want to process the data from CPU, then instead of instruction format, what we are using, the technical or terminology is the control word. So, what could be the size of control word here? Three selection lines, three plus 3 plus 3, 9 plus 5, 14. Okay, so it is a 14-bit control word will actually determine which register will transfer the data. Let's understand it in more detail. So my point is that again I have taken the same example here to simplify the things more. As I was explaining you in the diagram also, multiplexer A will have a selection line, right? So that selection line will actually guide the system that the data from R2 register is to be taken into R1. Now, how I would take that? So I will be actually using this encoding mechanism, because if you look at this diagram thoroughly, let me clear it again. Okay, so there are only 7 resistors been there, R1 to R7, right? So if you look here thoroughly, that how we are signifying any particular value of the resistor, if the binary code is 000, so it means some external output will be taken either from the selection line A and B. Why so? Because this particular selection line, this input is actually being present at this zeroth position. This is what I was explaining you earlier. So this is selection line A for mux A, selection B for mux B. So this is what they are explaining here, that the selection line A, binary code 000, will determine the input value will be selected at the selection line. Now this is from mux. This is also from multiplexer, but this is from decoder. Okay, so here we are not performing anything. Reason being because we are only using R1 to R7 resistors. So 000 code means nothing will be happening because we are signifying the codes like this. That's it. So again, so mux 2 will select the mux B, select the line like this, that it will take the data from R3. Similarly, R3, R4. So for everyone, the register value will remain same. Now, in case I am having such, I have to perform such instruction, then how this will happen? The selection line A will be having the value of R2. R2 is nothing but this 010, and selection line B is having the value R3. R3 is nothing but 011. Then there is selection line D. Now what D will be consisting of? Decoder destination resistor. Okay, so the selection line D will actually point out towards 001 R1 resistor, and there is a 5-bit OPR code. If you look here, then I have also provided an idea of the OPR bits, few bits, because it is will be, again I am saying the total combinations used can be 2 raised to power 5. Okay, so here in order to perform the addition, so the combination will be 00010. So this 14-bit control word will actually arrive at the CPU, and then following the control values, okay, these function tables, my system will be able to execute the data, or to execute, to work with the general registers. So this is the exact idea in a nutshell. So control word plays a vital role whenever we will be using the general registers within the CPU. Now I hope that you have understood the idea exactly. So again, I am writing this control word, which was coming like, it says select A, select B, select D, and OPR. So we know that selection line A, if I have to compute this data again, I am taking the same example. R2, it will be 0, 1, 0. For R3, it will be 0, 1, 1. For R1, it will be 0, 0, 1. And for this OPR, it was like 0, 0, 0, 1, 0. So if the value is present here like 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, and here it is like 0, 1, 0, and the value present here is 0, 1, 1, so definitely what will happen, those required pins will be selected. Okay, so here I will be able to select this pin number 2, which is consisting of the value coming from R2. Here the pin number 3 will be selected, having the value R3. Then these two will this data will flow in the form of buses. Through the buses, it will be transferred to this arithmetic logic unit. Now, arithmetic logic unit will also determine its encoding value. So it will start performing the addition, and then this 3 cross 8 decoder is there, which will be having the values like 0, 0, 1. So definitely it will only make this value equals to 1, rest all equals to 0, 0, 0. So definitely this will be available for storing the data. So I hope that with this you have understood the entire idea of the general register organization. So last, here are some few examples that I have tried to provide you to make the things more clear to you. So this is a control word which your system will actually have, and based upon these control words, it will decode the signal and then will act accordingly and will start performing such micro operations. And okay, so I would recommend you that to understand that this particular table is important because it is just the encoding of the resistors. Okay, but I will recommend you not to cram the table of this ALU. There is no need. Don't cram it. Just have a general idea. Okay, if you have to perform sum, then you have to use a 5-bit value, and to perform any kind of operation means, okay, you have to use the code which is consisting of 5 bits. That's it. So with this, thank you so much for joining the session, students. If you have any doubt, you can ask it in the chat box.